Hello again, welcome to another edition of the Real Ale Guide. Chris, it's been a couple of weeks. Basically, I've been down to Shepherd Neame. We did the Adnams kegs a couple of weeks ago, but I put them up over the last few reviews, so it looks like we've done 4 reviews together in a row. But it's going to be, I'm so excited by this beer. I'd like to thank you very much because we have got, this is my first Samuel Smith beer, and it's their India Ale, and it's coming in at 5% ABV, and look at that, it's Yorkshire's oldest brewery. So this is their IPA. Let's get it open, give it a pour. Right. Nice, I like the foil. Gotta be honest, I like the foil on. Yeah. This beer has been brewed in Yorkshire Square, open square fermenting tanks. A traditional way of brewing that goes back generations. Look at the colour of this beer. Look at the colour of that.
It comes
Nice.
in a 550 bottle as well, which is,
A big bottle, is it?
well, it's big enough to give you a proper pint.
Wow. I see what you're saying. This is a 550, so it's going to give. This is going to give a proper pint. I got a great big head on mine. Give it a bit of a rigorous pour. Nice carbonation. I tell you what I like about the bottle is that the name is imprinted there, Samuel Smith's. Okay, lovely copper colour on this beer.
Yeah, it's not quite as dark as a ruby ale. It's got the clearness.
Yeah, very clear. Is it bottle conditioned? Don't think it is. They would have probably said if it was bottle conditioned. And until we get, it doesn't look like there's any sediment in the bottom of the bottle.
One of the ingredients is seaweed findings. I'm not sure what findings are, but
Seaweed.
yeah, seaweed. It's unusual.
Wow. I can get the nose from here, but I really want to get the nose on this one. So, Chris picked these up in Cardiff.
Cheers.
There's actually a Samuel Smith pub in Cardiff, which I've not visited, but I've got to get over there. I'm so excited by this. Let's get the nose. Nice. Slightly citrusy. There's not too much in the nose. Well, unless it is yours, but I've got a
No, I'm
great
not
big.
picking up loads from it.
You know, best thing to do then is, yeah, let's get the taste. Cheers, everyone. I think,
It's northern tasting.
yeah.
That only means something to you if you're from the UK, clearly, but it doesn't have the same hits that the IPAs we have recently have had.
Yeah.
They've all been southern ones, I think. Maybe it's something to do with the water. I don't know. That's the first feeling I get from it. It's that kind of the taste you get from the darker ales.
Yeah, it's leaning. I'd say this is leaning towards a classic British IPA rather than these American hoppy, really hoppy styles. I think this is it's nowhere near a Green King.
No.
Nowhere near a Green King. But if you imagine a Green King IPA at 5% ABV,
Yeah.
you're quite close. You know. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's magnified those flavours that are in there.
Yeah.
And there's the kind of, I suppose it's the bitterness. It's making me think of flat caps and whippets and.
Yeah. Yeah. Classic taste, and at 5%, I'm saying this quite a lot. At 5%, it's a good session ale.
Yeah.
I seem to be
too long
saying
a
that
session.
a lot in the reviews, but it's because some of these beers now are 7.5%, and you're really buying one beer. And I like to make the case, an important case, that this type of beer is good enough to session.
They say it's full flavoured and complex. And it is. There's plenty going on in there, isn't there?
It's front of the mouth, proper fruity. It's got a nice. It's got that fantastic classic English bittersweet. You've got the bitterness from the hops, and then you've got that classic sweet malt for the finish. So it's an initial burst of bitter, then the sweetness, just to mellow it out a bit.
Yeah.
But I can imagine a nice piece of strong cheese with this.
Yeah, something. Spicy foods would go well with this as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Given this an IPA, I suppose that makes sense. You want some sort of curry type food. Yeah. Somewhere along that.
I'm finding it fantastically smooth. It's really. I think there was more of a pint. Was it bang on a pint or?
It was 550, so 500 is ever so slightly less.
So it's about a pint.
It fits in these. These are slightly oversized glasses, I think.
I see. Samuel Smith's is Yorkshire's oldest brewery. There's quite a bit of reading on the bottle, so I tell you what I'll do. I'll read the front while Chris carries on tasting the pint, and then we'll do the reverse where I'll be drinking the pint, getting some more thoughts, and I'll ask Chris to read the back then. So here we go. It's described as a top fermented in stone Yorkshire squares. In the 19th century, there was a considerable trade in beer from Britain to India. The land of spice was Britain's major export market. The heavy hop levels of these pale beers shipped on a long voyage to India naturally preserved the beer and complemented the flavourful and exotic cuisine of the East. What we were saying then about an Indian or something spicy. Samuel Smith's Indian Ale is characterised by the colour of a golden sunset, a refined maltiness, which has definitely got that good malty backbone, and an emphasis on the aroma and flavour from Britain's best hop gardens.
That's controversial to the best. They're certainly up there. Sorry, the dog's doing something peculiar. I like this. I think because it retains the characteristics of something that you consider to be English. If you like English beer, per se, that's what it's given you a great example of what that can be.
Yeah.
We've tried a few sort of the more obscure craft breweries in recent times.
Yeah.
And it's not that. So don't buy this if you've got in your head that this is going to be like a dry beer.
Like an American. The Beer del Borgo was really huge. Citrus blasts you get from. This is more. It's much more of a balanced drink in it towards. They want you to taste the malt.
Yeah.
They really want you to taste the sweet malt in this drink, which is classic British beer. Okay, I'm going to sit for a minute and just reflect on the beer itself while Chris reads what they got there on the back. And I don't know if you want to show the picture of the fermenting tanks as well.
So we can get this. I'm not sure if the light's going to let you pick that one up. That's showing the ale being cooled. So it's over a vertical cooler before they put the yeast in. It's brewed with well water, and they're still using the original well from 1758.
Wow.
So back in, that's what I'm saying.
1758.
Yeah, so what's that, 250 years now.
It's fantastic.
Best malted barley and a generous amount of choicest aroma hops, fermented in the stone Yorkshire squares, which gives you an exceptionally full flavour. Yes, that.
Yeah.
With an abundance of maltiness and fruity hops. I suppose it's dependent on the hop. No, it is dependent on the hop. What kind of fruit you're going to pick up from that. What was it we had the other week? It gave you the hoppiness and the fruitiness. It was the Adnams.
Adnams just posted them this morning.
New Zealand Pale Ale.
The New Zealand Pale Ale, which I got to be honest with that one. I'd like to clear a couple of things up. I actually said that it was brewed with gooseberries, but it was the New Zealand Savion
Nelson
Sauvin hop, which actually gave off them flavours. So I've changed the headline. I haven't put Adnams beer brew with gooseberries anymore. I've changed it to just Adnams New Zealand Pale Ale.
But it's not given those same kind of typical English flavours. I think that was brewed with that in mind, to produce something to rival those kind of New World hoppy beers.
Yeah.
This is just brewed with tradition in mind. It says that it goes with spicy foods, green chili and lime pickle, mulligatawny soup,
Wow.
chicken and roasted coconut sauce.
Oh.
Can't say I've had that. It sounds
Yeah, divine.
and kind of masala, curried prawns, duck risotto. Yeah, I can see this going game quite well, generally.
Yeah.
And then ingredients, like I said, water, malted barley, yeast hops, seaweed finings, and carbon dioxide. So pretty simple stuff.
If you're watching and you understand why they put the seaweed finings in this drink, please let us know in the suggestion box. Are they putting it in the drink for flavour, or is it some of the kind of the brewing process? I really don't know.
I suppose with seaweed, because seaweed is has natural umami in it, doesn't it? There's some Blumenthal goes on about. This is the fifth taste.
Right.
And
So
it's
I don't know these things.
It's the one that you really want. It's the kind of thing they put in ketchup and you'll get it in abundance in tomatoes and stuff like that.
Oh, all right.
So it's a bit like the natural equivalent of monosodium glutamate,
Right.
which makes you want to go back for more, which I'm going to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a very quaffable. I seem to be saying that a lot as well, but this is definitely a classic English pale ale stroke IPA. In America, they class an IPA at being 6% over. Slightly confusing because over here, an IPA can be anything from 3% up. So there is a little bit of a. Pardon me.
This beer, I mean, to give you a sense of what kind of operation it is, it doesn't have a website, I don't think. Isn't on Twitter. If you want to get hold of them, I'll show you here. This is what they ask you to do. If you want further information, please write to Christian Horton at the Old Brewery in Tadcaster in Yorkshire.
But that's kind of. It's kind of traditional, isn't it? It is. It's quirky, especially this day and age. It's definitely quirky. It's a quirky, big quirkiness. I'm going to ask you now, Chris, to give your final thoughts on this beer, and then I'll give my final final thoughts and a rating. Then I'll give my final thoughts and a rating. But carry on. Sorry, gassing again.
Yeah,
sorry.
one of those things. I like this. I think I approached this when I opened it. I hadn't had this before, so before today. So when I opened it, I didn't know what I was expecting. I'd had their standard pale ale, which I thought was a tad disappointing. But you're going to review that and give your thoughts on it at some point.
Give the pale ale review. Is it an American type of pale ale, or is it
I think
traditional
it's
English?
more of a British one.
Yeah.
Where I've spoiled myself in recent times with probably too much Jaipur and Kipling from the Thornbridge Brewery.
You are a big fan of it.
Yeah, I do like that. I wasn't expecting necessarily to go back in time and get what is a much more traditional beer. Saying that, there is certainly a place for traditional beer in my heart, and
Yeah.
I often said this. It's a lot of it is about the situation, where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, and if you were to encounter this in a pub somewhere, well, Sammy Smith's pub, which are all over the country.
I can imagine it on draft.
Get this on draft,
Yeah.
and you sat there and you've got a choice between this and they've got a few other things. They've got their lager. I don't think they do their Alpine lager anymore, but
No? That's good.
And that used to be my favourite. If somebody gave me a pint of this, I'd be pleased. If I was in a situation where I had a good few hours to spend in the pub, it's 5%, so it's sessionable, but it's not too weak, and it's going to give you, well, it does what it says on the tin, which is pleasing sometimes. Sometimes you don't want to be surprised by gooseberries or grapefruits. Sometimes you just want a good, honest kind of
You don't know. You
on-the-nose
don't.
beer.
Yeah, you may have had a hard day at work, and you don't really want to use your mind too much, thinking about all these different complex flavours. You just want something which is, like you're saying, it's traditional and good tasting.
Yeah. So with that in mind, think I'm happy to go 7.5 on this. It's really tasty.
Yeah.
The more I'm drinking it, the more I'm picking up the malt.
I think the more it's warming up, the more this is warming up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think this needs to be fridged quite as much as the New World
Yeah.
IPAs.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. You know, there's a kind of urban legend about the IPAs being brewed a bit stronger so they could last the journey to India, but I don't think that really holds, and it's certainly not applicable today when it's only coming from 300 or 400 miles away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll go 7.5 for that.
7.5. Okay, I guess it's my turn, which I am thoroughly enjoying this. I totally agree with Chris on what he's saying about a good traditional British. I got nothing. I absolutely love. I'd like to say first, I absolutely love American style IPAs. Jaipur, Goose Island, all the big IPA, all the 90-minute hopped Dogfish Head beers, the 60-minute. Absolutely love them all. But this is a beer which has been brewed, and it's probably the original recipe for a beer which is 17, what did they say on the bottle? 1758. I imagine what they're saying on this bottle is probably the original recipe. And I am really enjoying them complex, citrusy, peachy, orangey, there's bits of orange peel in there, and then all of a sudden that gets completely wiped away by the malt. The sweet malt which is in this drink. So I'm going to go slightly higher. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 because it's so solid. And I can imagine 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon popping down down the pub, not necessarily with a newspaper anymore. It's kind of gone old tablet.
With your iPad.
But yeah, a mobile phone, and sitting there with my little mobile phone, going through my Twitter account, my Facebook, or with a good pint of this, and just thoroughly enjoying it. 8 out of 10 for me. Thanks for watching. Thanks again, Chris.
Cheers.
We're going to have a nice roast dinner now, which the good wives are cooking. And thanks for watching. Cheers.